A new era of war is about to begin in Age of Empires 4. The fractured lands of Japan rise again in the new DLC, Dynasties of the East, bringing the chaos and the glory of the Sengoku period. Oda, Takeda, and Hojo are the three rival clans that will define how your strategy will play. Among sake, festivals, street food, and new unique units, you will pave your way to the unification of Japan. Which daimyo will you choose to lead your army? The Sengoku Daimyo is a new civilization coming with the DLC Dynasties of the East. This variant is a fresh take on the Japanese civilization, complete with new units, landmarks, and the all-new Daimyo Estate system. This variant represents one of the most turbulent chapters in Japan's history, the Sengoku period, or Sengoku Jidai. A time of near-constant civil war throughout the 15th and the 16th centuries. It began with conflicts such as the Onin War, shattering the power and authority of the Ashikaga shogunate, and it finally ended as Oda Nobunaga marched on Kyoto and Japan moved towards unification under the Tokugawa shogunate. Daimyos in Japan were powerful feudal lords, but subordinate to the shogun. The shogun was what basically controlled and ruled the country. During the Sengoku period, the number of daimyos went from up to 300 early on to 70 later on in the period. The number varied so much because the daimyo and their vassal clans were constantly fighting each other for fertile lands and for power, of course. Some clans would become vassals of another clan, or they would merge into other clans, and of course they sometimes would simply disappear after battles. Starting in Feudal Age, you can build your Daimyo Estates. You can choose 2 out of the 3 daimyo clans available, and each clan supports different types of units. You can build up to 3 states of a certain clan and 2 of another clan. Once you have one state built, that clan is going to be level 1. You also have 3 available technologies in the state. At level 1, you can research the first technology. At level 2, with 2 states built, you can research the technology level 2. And the third one, accordingly, once you have the 3 states built, can be researched as well. But the thing is, you can only choose 2 clans and you cannot change your mind. Deleting your buildings is not gonna help. You can only rebuild what you have deleted. You can only keep those 2 clans. There's an extra benefit for the clan that you level up to level 3. First, units produced from production buildings under the state's influence will come with a deflective armor, and second, you can recruit levies using tickets that are produced over time. So let's check the clans, shall we? The Oda clan Daimyo Estate benefits archery ranges that are built within the state's influence. The first upgrade available from the state is Higoyumi, and it increases the damage of all Yumi archers. The Higoyumi is a regional type of Yumi, bow, but originally from the Higo province. Interestingly though, the Higo province wasn't actually an Oda clan's territory. And the bow itself, the Yumi, the Higoyumi, it really doesn't have anything special about it. It's not really that different, but it was made using bamboo from the region, and just maybe some polishing differences in the end, but it's quite similar nonetheless. Now, once you build the second daimyo state for the Oda clan, you get the second technology unlocked, which is the Tanegashima Tate. This technology is only available in Castle Age. Once this technology is researched, the Tanegashima Ashigaru automatically is going to deploy a shield after standing still just for a little bit, and that shield is going to increase its range and armor. The Tanegashima Shigaru is a unique unit of this variant. They can be produced starting in Castle Age, and they replace the traditional crossbow unit. Tanegashima is a matchlock gun, and I talk all about that in the Japanese civilization video, so if you're interested you can just check the Japanese video and you're gonna find everything there. In any case, Ashigaru means lightfoot, and it refers to the foot soldiers that were hired by the samurai to fight for them. And during the Sengoku period, the samurai would train these men, these just farmers really, and give them guns and everything to prepare them to fight for them. One of these weapons that they would train with or practice with was the Tanegashima. Now, the use of shields is not really common for samurai at all, for Japanese culture at all. That's not really something we see every day. The tata here, however, makes sense. That is something that was used to protect those gunmen, to reload in safety their guns, which would take a lot of time at the time back then, so that shield would provide them with some protection. Another interesting fact here about the shields, as I mentioned, samurai, they really wouldn't use that, and that is because originally the samurai were trained mostly in the bow and arrow. So it's kind of hard for you to use a bow when you have to carry a shield. And that's why the samurai armor itself looks like it has shields embedded on them. And that is because in this way, the shields that they are wearing won't interfere with their ability to use the arrow and the bow and the arrow. Now, the last technology available in this state, if you build 3 of them, is the Ozutsu unlock, allowing you to start producing Ozutsu already in Castle Age. The Oda clan was the most important force during the unification of Japan in the 16th century. And I even mentioned his name already. The peak of their power was under Oda Nobunaga, sometimes referred to as the Demon Daimyo. He is considered, until today, the great unifier of Japan. Honestly, he was like Alexander the Great for Japan. He was a bold strategist. He wasn't scared of innovation, of trying things. At a time where fights were usually in open field with time and date to happen, he would go for sneaky attacks or surprise attacks in the middle of the night, surprising forces way larger than his. So he would take risks that other people weren't used to. And more than that, at the time, people didn't like guns. They are smelly, they are noisy, it's in a way dishonorable. But Oda saw an opportunity there. He saw the potential in the guns. And those Tanegashima, those guns, brought him so much advantage in the battlefield. One of the most famous battles in the Sengoku period was the Battle of Nagashino in 1575. It was fought between the Oda clan and the Takeda clan, and it's considered actually the first modern battle of Japan. And that is because Oda Nobunaga defeated the cavalry, the strong cavalry of the Takeda, with his powerful Tanegashimas. And this great opponent with his imposing cavalry, it's also in the game. The Takeda clan benefits the units from your stables, and the technologies that you can research from level 1 to 3 are horse training, that increases the movement speed of all cavalry, improved Yari, that increases the anti-cavalry damage from the Yari cavalry, and the Mounted Samurai Odachi, that grants an Odachi to the Mounted Samurai, replacing their katana. And the Odachi will provide your Mounted Samurai with bonus damage against infantry. First, let's unpack the Yari here. The Yari Cavalry is a fast, unique unit of this variant, and it has a bonus damage against other cavalry. Yari literally means spear, and Yari became the most common weapon of a mounted samurai at the time, replacing the bow and arrow. This mounted spearman would charge into the enemy lines and break infantry formations and also counter other cavalry. And for that, they needed a shorter form of yari or spear. And that is because if it's too long, it interferes with your balance on the horse, and if it's too short, you won't hit first. So that's where the advantage lies against other cavalry. The Yari cavalry had an advantage by reaching their opponents, their enemies, first before the sword could hit them. Now the Takeda were famous for their cavalry ambushes, how they would quickly move around the battlefield and flank their opponents with cavalry. And this is likely where the inspiration comes from for the Takeda giving bonus to your stable units. The mounted samurai Odachi upgrade replaces the katana from the mounted samurai with an Odachi, giving them bonus against infantry. Odachi means a great sword, and it was a massive two-handed blade, sometimes longer than 2 meters. Historically, it was used to cut down infantry. However, try to imagine mounted on a horse if you could be handling a two-handed sword. That would be extremely difficult because you also have to handle your horse. You need to hold it or, steer it and keep your balance and still attack with a two-handed sword. That's very unlikely. Maybe not impossible, but certainly not the rule. I believe that this is a little bit more lore than reality. The Hojo clan benefits units from the barracks. That's the only production that we are missing. Don't forget that the production has to be within the influence of the Daimyo Estate building. With one state, you will unlock the first level, the first technology, which is the lightweight blades. This technology increases the spearman movement speed and damage against workers, but I think there is nothing like super crazy about it. So let's move on to something more interesting. The second level unlocks the samurai bow. This one gives your samurai a bow. When Japanese civilization came out, I was immediately thinking, why they are not archers as well? Here we go. We have bows being carried by the samurai now, and it's really cute to watch that. The samurai, they run with the bow on their backs, and from time to time they will pick it up, throw an arrow, and get back to attacking with the naginata. Now, as I mentioned, in real life, all samurai were trained in archery, but not all of them would remain active archers. Archery was just like a core discipline in the samurai schools. And the last upgrade that you can get at level 3 is cross-folded armor, which increases the infantry's ranged armor. Now, by the Sengoku period, the Japanese armor had improved a lot. Cross-folded in this context in the game probably refers to the structure of the armor in cross-folded sections that was used to improve resistance against projectiles. But more importantly, after 1543, with the Tanegashima becoming more and more common, they needed something a little bit stronger. And for that, the Japanese smiths created the bullet-tested armor. This reinforced armor was forged with thicker and folded iron or steel plates that could deflect the matchlock rounds. So in the context of Age of Empires 4, this upgrade represents or is inspired by these developments in forging to create more resistant armor for the samurai, especially against the Tanegashima. The Hojo had a lot of rivalry with the Takeda, and they were also a formidable power. Now, independently of which states, which clan you chose, you can make the daimyo unit out of the states, the buildings. 1 for each building, meaning you can have a maximum of 5 in a single game. The daimyo is a heavy melee cavalry with an aura that increases the attack speed of nearby melee and ranged units according to the age that you are, and it's going to last for a while even if the daimyo falls. The daimyo also comes with a deflective armor. Now let's talk a little bit about something else, something that the Japanese are really known for: festivals. Starting in Dark Ages, you can already build your first Matsuri. This is the variant's market. And from this building, you can also make the Yatai, this little cute cart that has an aura around it and collects food according to what's inside this aura. Ideally, you want to have as much food as possible within its aura to reach the cap food income. And what happens if you eat the food yourself with your workers, the food that is under the Yatai? You can research the Yatai farm gather and make farmers under it, so that it's going to start counting your farms as well as food source. Matsuri are Japanese festivals. That's what it means. They are celebrated with music, with dance, with food. And the original purpose of these festivals was to worship religious entities according to the regional beliefs or religion. There are also many Matsuri that were organized to pray for a good harvest or to thank for the good harvest. In the game, I believe that what we see is a Hanami Matsuri, celebrating the blooming of the sakura tree, the cherry tree. In real life, the little yatais, they are just food stands, literally. They are just mobile food stands. And although they exist since the 17th century, they became more popular starting with the Meiji period in 1870. Now in the game, there's another little mechanic about the yatai. Once it collected enough food, it's going to send a little trader back to your market, your matsuri, and that trader will establish a permanent stall, food stall in your market. And that's going to give also a gather bonus to the villagers that are within the aura of that matsuri. It's like a cistern or a little chapel that you can put everywhere. You can have many of them. It's just a market. You can make as many as you want. Now let's take a look at the landmarks. The Koka Township looks exactly like the Koka Township from the Japanese civilization, but it works differently. In the landmark, you only find 2 abilities that you can use instead of being able to produce shinobi like with the Japanese civilization. With the shinobi ambush, for example, a few shinobi can be immediately recruited at any of your buildings or stealth forest. They will survive for a short period of time or until they have used all of their charges of Torinoko grenades. The enemy units that are hit by these grenades, they take more damage and they have reduced movement speed for a few seconds. Torinoko translates to baby bird. Isn't it cute? But they are not cute in game. These grenades were simply smoke grenades used by the shinobi back then. And they were like little packages wrapped in paper, so you're throwing baby birds when you're using Torinoko grenades in the game. Cute. Anyway, the other ability, Shinobi Scouts, it reviews any parts of the map for a few seconds. That's a cheat ability. You click on it and then you choose anywhere in the map you want to see for a few seconds. So be aware, anytime you're playing against civilization and they have that landmark, you won't be able to hide much of what you're doing. The Ryokan landmark increases the population space, acting something like a big house, and units that come close to it get a permanent healing buff, meaning they will be healing per second a certain amount. In real life, a ryokan is a traditional Japanese hotel. They have existed since the 8th century, which is when the oldest hotel in the world was created in Keiyukan. These traditional hotels nowadays, they are very expensive and they are very hard to find too. They're not common anymore. But if you compare to a modern hostel or hotel, they are like fancy stuff. The beautiful and peaceful pool that you see outside the landmark is a bath, and they are indeed an essential part of ryokan. In these common bathing areas, they were usually built using the water of nearby hot springs. You can even see in the game, you can see a little bit of the steam coming out of the landmark, out of the water. The last thing I wanted to talk about before we go to Castle Age landmarks is the Kanabo Samurai that you can also produce in Feudal Age. This Kanabo Samurai is a new, unique unit to this variant. It's nothing more than a samurai, but a big and strong samurai carrying a kanabo instead of the naginata that the other samurais are carrying. They're heavy units and they deal bonus damage according to the enemy's total health. Now, the kanabo itself, it was a mythical weapon. In the Japanese folklore, the oni, a kind of a demon with superhuman strength, carries a kanabo club. And there is even a Japanese saying that is like giving a kanabo to an oni, meaning giving an advantage to someone who doesn't need it, who already has it. Like, for example, putting Marine Lord in the finals of a tournament because, he already has an advantage, he's already good, and then you're giving him an extra advantage, he doesn't have to play the tournament, he's already in the finals. Something cute that I noticed here as well is that starting in Castle Age, the Kanabo Samurai starts using a mask. Those types of masks are also called somen, and their purpose was to secure the samurai's helmet and give enemies a good scare. The Temple of Equality landmark has exclusive upgrades for your Iko-Iki monks and allows you to produce them with a discount. In this variant, you have the Iko-Iki monks, and they are like warrior monks. They can fight and hit hard. The Iko-Iki were armed military leagues composed entirely of members of a sect of Buddhism. If you build this landmark, you get access to exclusive technologies for these units, and you can make them cheaper. The two big things here to know about them: they do not heal targeted units. They only heal when they are attacking. So they can heal themselves and units around them, but they have to be fighting. And the second point is they do have the Buddhist conversion. So if they're holding a relic and they do wololo, they're going to give that bonus damage to the units around them. The Campo Medicine upgrade increases the healing aura size. As I mentioned, they only heal when they are attacking the units next to them, and with this technology you make the area bigger. So maybe you're gonna heal 2 units next to you and not only 1. Campo is the study of traditional medicine, the Chinese medicine in Japan, including acupuncture, food therapy, and even herbology. The other technology is Nembutsu, and researching it increases the monk's health and damage. Nembutsu is a religious evocation that is chanted in the hope of rebirth into Amida's pure land. It's a way to connect spiritually with Amida Buddha. And according to Buddhist teachings, Amida made a vow to guide all beings to enlightenment despite any wrongdoings or mistakes made in the past. This philosophy of unconditional and universal compassion is really beautiful, and I actually lost track of time watching some videos on this matter, on this topic, so be careful if you start getting into that black hole in the YouTube. Now, the sake brewery landmark, well, you can make sake. Really, you can start making alcohol in Age of Empires 4 now. This landmark creates the Tokokoji mats around itself, and it can be worked by villagers, up to 5 villagers, to gather gold. So sake is a gold mine, or alcohol is a gold mine. I don't think I disagree with that statement. Now, koji is a specific type of fungus that is used in Japanese food to ferment food, and it's one essential element in the sake production. It breaks down the rice starches into sugar that the yeast is going to convert into alcohol, the fun element. And tokokoji is nothing more than a system, a method to cultivate this fungus on beds, instead of a little plate or anything like that. They're made on beds. Now, the important element here: once a certain amount of gold is collected in the landmark from the villagers that are working the koji, a transporter is going to pick up all of that alcohol that was produced, and it's going to carry to a nearby matsuri where people are gonna drink it and have fun and be happy, and all the villagers under that aura from this Matsuri that received the drinks, they are gonna get some bonus health. So the motto is, drunk villagers are happy villagers, are stronger villagers. And finally, to reach the Imperial Age, we have the Castle of the Crow and the Sword Hunt statue. The Castle of the Crow decreases the cost of all keeps and acts as a keep with the rocket emplacement, and increases the damage and the range of all siege units within the aura. And it's a big aura. Now, the Sword Hunt statue decreases the cost of your Daimyo units and also increases their aura attack speed bonus. And on top of that, the tickets that you use to hire levies from your Daimyo estates will be produced faster, so you can hire more levies. Regarding the Sword Hunt, when a new ruler would ascend to power, they would call for a sword hunt, meaning that swords and any other type of weapons, really, anything that can hurt somebody, they would be confiscated from any potential enemy. And the most famous sword hunt happened in 1588, ordered by Hideyoshi, when he was concluding his work of unification that Oda started. There was also a sword hunt after the World War II, when even Japanese civilians, they were forced by the Allied forces to give away their swords. There is actually no real monument for this in real life, but I think in the game, this beautiful statue featuring your daimyo, it just fits perfectly. So in a way, going to Imperial Age with this landmark, I think you're making a statement. My civilization is now unified, the clans are unified, and we are stronger together, as long as I hold the sword. And that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you very much for watching. If there's anything that I didn't mention, units, landmarks, or the wonder, it's because I mentioned before in my video on the Japanese civilization. So if you didn't watch that one, I really recommend you go there and check it out. I am sure you're gonna love it too. Give me a like on this video, please, if you enjoyed it. Don't forget to sub if you didn't. Here somewhere, it's for free. Thank you for watching. Arigatou gozaimasu, and I see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.